again, people of the internet. It's me, Felly. Hi. The day Maestro came out, I listened to it and immediately told myself to make an orchestra version of it no matter the costs. It's a great song, wonderfully crafted, and it has 17 written all over it. It's catchy, but it doesn't get boring after listening to it for a while, like most catchy songs. It sticks in your head and it has a lot of artistry to it. So when the orchestra mix came out, I was genuinely surprised and also a little disappointed because I don't usually make orchestra covers of songs that are already orchestra because, well, what's the point? Except maybe Black Swan. I immediately thought to myself, that's it. I'm not making an orchestra version of Maestro. But I did in the end because I like to do things out of spite, and after listening to the orchestra mix, I found some things that I would do differently. And rather than raging on the internet and making a fool out of myself, I'll just make it myself. Well, mostly because I could do it myself. And also because I realized that every single artist, musician, producer, composer, anything has their own specific way to do things, even if the concept is the same. Besides, I like the orchestra mix. It's a great source of inspiration and also a reference for my own version. There are some concepts that I took directly from the orchestra mix. It's similar, but it's not exactly the same. If you watched my last video, you would know that I just had a new toy, Albion Colossus, and is very excited to hear just how large it sounds. I decided to use it in a song, and although I still haven't managed to use it to its full potential, making really, really large box office Hollywood kind of songs, Colossus gave me that much needed punch in Maestro. BBC Symphony Orchestra Core, the one I had before, was great, but it's not as large as Colossus. The largest of Colossus was because of how they recorded the plugin, but it's further emphasized by this filter they have called Hype. I used it in At Ease during the last part of the song, and it really turned the loudness and the largeness of the song up to 10. I also used it in some other songs in Symphony No. 1 Kingdom, but it was mostly just to emphasize the melody and make it sound louder, not necessarily to use it for its specific characteristic. In Maestro, I didn't get to use too much of it. I did use some of it, just a little bit, but again, it's not necessarily because of the characteristic of the hype, it's because I needed for it to sound louder. This is because I wanted Maestro to sound very, very genuinely orchestra, like as if you're sitting in a concert hall and you're actually listening to a symphony orchestra. So the hype actually takes away that genuine orchestra sound that I really want to emphasize here. I do use it, but not as much as I'd like to. The sound Colossus produced is still way larger than BBC Symphony Orchestra, so it does help with the loudness and the largeness of the sound. Having two different VST plugins also helps with contrast. BBC SO is a lot warmer in sound, it's very resonant and just really nice to the ear. Albion Colossus on the other hand is a lot crispier and it sounds a lot more produced. The differences in these textures naturally makes a good background and melody, with BBC SO for a better background because it's warmer and much more resonant, and Albion Colossus naturally piercing through the entirety of the other sounds, with it being a lot more crispy and just produced. It demands attention and BBC SO complementing it from the back. The contrast isn't just from the textures though, it is also from the original song itself, which already has a lot of contrast, from the volume to the beat to just the basic rhythm of the melody. It already has a lot of contrasts and all I have to do is just to follow it, right? Well, yes, but not really, because we need to remember that orchestra is different from pop. The way we produce orchestra music is different from how we produce K-pop music. In K-pop or in pop in general, we have access to a lot of electronic beats and, well, melodies that are sung by people. In orchestra, well, my orchestra, the one that I make especially, I don't have a lot of access to people singing. Well, I can sing the melody, but the whole point of my covers is to create this orchestra version, which is fully orchestra, not just someone singing and has a an orchestra in the back, just like the orchestra mix. There's different ways to approach a song because of this genre that I wanted to do. And the orchestra mix that is officially released actually really helped with this arrangement. I mentioned in the beginning that I took inspiration from the orchestra mix. And yes, I did. You can hear the similarities in some of the parts that I will highlight after this. I took some of their concepts and then make it my own. I don't like copying others' works, but when you found a good idea, well, I mean, is it wrong to follow that good idea? The pizzicato and the low basses of the verse is actually directly inspired by the orchestra mix itself. You can hear how similar the melody of what I made with the orchestra mix. The second part of the chorus was also directly inspired by the orchestra mix. If they didn't make it like that, I wouldn't have gotten the idea to make mine the way it is right now. However, instead of making it whimsical and magical, just like the orchestra mix, I like when things sound a lot heavier and just a lot grander. The orchestra mix somewhat sounds like a Disney song. At least in my ears, it sounds like something that will come out of a Disney princess movie. Well, not necessarily, but it's very Disney kind of vibe. It's probably because of how the woodwinds are arranged and also the chimes and having more focus on the mids and the highs. Well, me, who likes things that are heavier, I put a lot more focus on the basses and low ends, having a lot more support from these really, really low notes and low instruments. Low ends gives a lot more punch and just a lot more weight to the song. And since I like songs that have a lot of punch and a lot of weight, I guess that's also why I love basses so much. I also didn't have the luxury of having the melodies sung, like I said before. Obviously, I can ask someone to sing the song, but it would make for a different kind of concept than what I usually do. So as per usual, I had to compromise and do extra things that would be able to make the mood go up and not just flat throughout the whole song. The easiest way to do that is through doubling. Doubling, as I said in my previous videos, is when you have a melody and then you layer that on top of the melody. You have the same melody and then you layer it on top. It can be in the same octave. It can also be on different octaves, like higher or lower, depending on what you want to do with it. Usually in orchestra, doubling occurs between two different instruments, but also you can double similar instruments like one octave above or below each other. In Maestro, you can hear a lot of instruments playing in tandem for the majority of the song. Some of them are added in the middle of it to create emphasis and also making the mood rise. It gives variation because each instrument has a different texture. And even though some of them are similar, having that slight difference actually makes the song more interesting. The other much more prominent reason I had to double was to fill up the frequency. During my time learning music composition and music production, I have heard many times that a good song is when you fill up the entire frequency from top to bottom, from lows to highs. Can a good song not have some parts of the frequency and having more emphasis on one part than the other? Yes, you can. But as a general rule, we follow the rule of having a balance between lows, mids, and highs. In orchestra, you feel that frequency by having lots of different instruments playing with each other, each of them filling their role in each of their ranges. And when you do that, when you fill up the entire range from low to high to really, really high, like having the piccolos, you create this really beautiful and grand kind of sound. That is why in Maestro, when the part is supposed to be the highest, I double a lot of different instruments playing the same melody together. The arrangement of Maestro is actually just pretty simple. There's not a lot of instrumentation going on, just a lot of doubling, and even just doing that makes the song sound even grander and just the way I like it. That is it for today, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell so you will be notified whenever I release a new video. Here is a little sneak peek of the cover I made, and comment down below what you think about it. The full version can be seen in Spotify, Apple Music, and other streaming services listed on the screen right here. This has been Feli Music, and I will see you next time.